So why should you try to avoid divorce getting personal? My name is Josh Floyd. This is Christina Jimenez. Welcome to the Consultation. We are both attorneys here in the state of Texas at Jimenez Floyd Law Firm, and today we're going to tell you why.
So this is hard. I mean, I think it's hard for anyone, and I don't care how over the marriage you are. It almost always has the ability to get personal and to get petty and to have hard feelings and all of these things. I think maybe 1% of our cases I can say it's like strictly business, everything's done, we're good, moving on, and those are great. Like
Certainly rare.
Yeah, when that happens, it's great for that particular couple, for their children, for the attorneys. And frankly, I kind of feel like it should be that way, don't you think? I mean,
so
if it can
in an ideal world, yes.
Yeah.
But when you're dealing with feelings, it's hard to keep it from being personal. It's hard to separate the business side of it and the personal side of it, especially if it's been like an affair and things like that. It makes it very difficult.
Right. So first reason that we came up with as to why you should not make this process personal, or at least try to avoid it, is that it's just really, really, really unhealthy. I talk to my clients a whole lot about mental health and spirituality when they're going through this process, just because it's very difficult, and I wouldn't wish the process on my worst enemy. And there's a lot of things that you're going to have to deal with, a lot of trauma that you're going to potentially have to deal with. And it is, if you have this, I guess, idea or this tendency to take jabs and to, be ugly towards the other person because you are taking it extremely personal, really it's unhealthy for you as an individual, right? And it's very, very difficult to kind of move past this ending of this relationship when you're just deep down in it and you're taking everything personal, right? And do you talk to your clients a lot about mental health and spirituality?
Not a whole lot. I do some, and I try to explain to them that there's really two sides of a divorce, right? You have the transactional business side, and then you have the personal side. And although we are attorneys and counselors, I'm not that great at the personal side.
You're
right?
terrible.
I would just say I'm not that great at the personal side. And so you may need two professionals, right? You may need an attorney to help you with the transactional business, the divorce, legal stuff, and then a counselor to help you with the personal stuff. And I think if you separate that, it'll help you separate those feelings in the divorce.
I agree. And you say the word may, I feel like it should be shall, right? Like, if you're going through this process, I would say like 100 times out of 100. I don't even care if you're not taking
That's
it
100%.
personal. 100 times out of 100, you should seek some sort of mental health treatment, some sort of therapist, some sort of pastor, someone that you can go and you can kind of share these feelings with, because if you make it personal, there's going to be negative impacts on you and on your case, right? It's also unhealthy for your kiddos. How many times have we seen people lose custody of their children because they have made this a personal issue, they're seeking personal vendetta, and they're not prioritizing their children?
All the time. That's the worst. And it's hard to explain how to avoid it. That's the problem is, just don't do stuff like that. That's what I tell them. And they can't grasp why they shouldn't take that jab or why they shouldn't make that comment. Because maybe the other side had an affair and maybe they're still with that girl or whatever. And, my client, every time she sees them, it's a, you stupid B word or whatever, right? And I understand that that's how she feels, but you can't say those things. Mm-hmm. And so, comments like that obviously adversely impact your case and your ability to win custody because you can't co-parent. And that's where the mental health comes in. Is you've got to find somebody that can help you move past that. And I'm not that great at it.
So you're not bad at it, but it's just one of those things where when people start crying, Floyd kind of struggles, kind of calming people when they're crying. But I think that it's also important, going back to how unhealthy it can be for your children, to know your boundaries, right? And to know, listen, I probably don't need to put myself in this situation of doing exchanges, because I know that the girlfriend might be there, and I know that I'm probably going to say something or do something that they're going to get on video that is going to eventually be used against me in a courtroom, right? And so, make sure that if you're going to take this personal, and if you're not going to be able to control yourself, that you're trying to at least implement something to protect yourself, having your parents maybe doing the exchange, or maybe doing it in a public setting. But what you don't want is, you don't want to expose your children to those sort of behaviors. Another thing that we see is when people are taking these issues personally, is they have a tendency to talk poorly about the other parent.
It's terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. In the presence of the children.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a judge. I'm not going to name her because I don't know if I should, but there's a judge that tells everybody, like, this child is half mom and half dad, and so when you're talking bad about dad, you're talking badly about half of your child, right?
Right.
It's just not good. And even sly comments like, won't you have your dad take you to get a haircut? He doesn't need to hear that, right?
Or, I pay child support, your mom can take you to get the haircut.
Right. Yeah, like, come on, it's $10, right? Get the kid a haircut. Don't involve him in that kind of stuff, and don't talk badly about the other spouses. The only person you're hurting is the child in your case, right? Because this is going to come up in court, and the judge isn't going to like it.
Well, and it's one of those things, too, that we see it so often where the kiddos are kind of being put in the middle, right? Like, they don't want to talk ugly about, or don't want to hear dad talking ugly about mom, and vice versa, and they're very, very conflicted, and then they start having mental health issues. Like, unfortunately, these days we see a lot of cutting, we see a lot of suicidal ideations, we see a lot of depression and anti-anxiety medication. These kiddos are really, really going through it when you, as the parents, do not have the ability and the capacity to not take this personal, right? Like, I understand, like, there is so much pain when you're going through this process, but at the very, very minimum, try to shield your children from it. Just try, because if not, now it's going to be passed down generationally, and we don't want that.
You may not even see how it's impacting your child for a while, right? I mean, the fact that a child feels like they can't say something good about their father in front of mom, or vice versa, right? Or talk about how good of a time they had. You won't see that because the child is just silent, but the child is uncomfortable talking to a parent about good things that happened at the other parent's house because they know how the one parent feels about the other. It's not good, and that's why I think the co-parenting classes are essential, even for small things that people don't realize. Like, a client told me one time at their co-parenting class that what they got out of it was little things like, when you're sending the child off for visitation, don't say, I'm going to miss you, because that makes the child feel bad. Say, I can't wait to see you when you get back. Have a good time, right? Things like that parents don't even realize the impact it's having, have such a significant impact. And so I always preach co-parenting classes. It's huge.
Yeah, I mean, so now we have therapy, now we have co-parenting, and also, like, there's all sorts of YouTube videos. There's, like, so many resources out there for you guys to be able to learn how to effectively manage this, because it is, you have to have tools, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's some sort of a trauma. You need tools, you need resources, you need people that you can rely on that are going to help you move past this, because we don't want you taking it personally to where it ends up having this huge negative impact on you. So,
yeah, I always tell them, when you love your child more than you hate the other parent, you'll make the right decisions.
Right.
But the problem is that hate is so built up.
Right.
That it's hard to get past.
And kind of along with that is the fact that it is, in fact, counterproductive to, I guess, your case, right?
Absolutely, yes.
So we've had it happen many a time where a client will, because they're taking it personally, and because they have, like, personal vendettas, etc., against the other party, where they just start doing really petty, really stupid, really out of character things that a year ago they would have never even thought of doing, but they start behaving out of character, and then eventually all of this stuff will come to light, I can assure you. And even if the other side doesn't have money to have an attorney, most of these family law judges, they're going to hear the other side when they don't have an attorney. And so if you're being a jerk, and if you're being petty, and you're taking this personal, and you're making bad choices, the judge is going to hear about it, and it's going to be counterproductive to your case.
And unfortunately, a lot of times whenever we have clients that are being petty, sometimes they're trying to set the other party up, and they end up looking like the jerk.
Right.
Right? They'll go in, pick at them or whatever, something that annoys them to get a rise out of them, and the judge can see through all that crap, right? The judge knows what you're doing, and you just put it on video.
Right.
Right? So, yeah, just don't be petty. Just try to set all that aside. Focus on the transactional side, the business side, the kids. All right? It's a good thing to focus on. And leave the petty crap at home.
And don't you think, like, the clients that we have that are able to process this stuff in a healthy manner, and they avoid, making it personal, being petty about things, I feel like those are pretty much always the successful party. I feel like it's very rare that we have these clients that are doing the right things and the good things, and they kind of get to reap what they sow, right? And so if your overall goal is to win and to make sure the other side loses and whatever it is, then just start by doing the right things, and then all those things are going to happen, right? So the other thing that we talked about is when you make this personal, you actually make it very profitable for us, right?
It is profitable,
So,
yes.
as I'm doing play on P's here, but the only people that win when you do that are your lawyers.
Personal, profitable, petty.
Yeah,
I like
yeah. So the only people that profit are your lawyers, right? And we really, really, really do our best to tell our clients, don't do the wrong things.
We enjoy the money.
Don't be petty. don't be petty, because it's just going to make this process way more expensive than what it needs to be. And it's just, at the end of the day, this is money that can be going to you and your spouse if you're getting a divorce, or it can be going to your children, right? I mean, we have had clients, because they want to be petty, they literally use up, what could be going to their children's college fund, right? And it's absolutely just insane to take that route when it can be very, very easily be avoided. Now, the flip side of that is sometimes we have clients where the other side is not getting this training, and they're not getting this mentorship from their attorneys, and so they are being petty, and now we're having to counteract it, and that just freaking sucks.
So that's good for their case, though. If it's the other party, it's bad for their pocket, but it's good for their case, because, again, that will come out. Right. And I know how many clients I've had to get frustrated with, I'm doing the right thing, they keep doing the wrong thing, and I got to tell them, be patient. They will pay for it in the end, right? Because a lot of times it's stupid stuff. It's not technically violations of the order. It's just annoying crap.
Right. Or even if it is a violation of the order, the cost to be able to take them to court for, cussing you out on the telephone could be potentially thousands of dollars. And so it's always, is the juice worth the squeeze, right? And so sometimes we have to just kind of let those little things go and wait for the final trial, because at the final trial is where the judge is going to hear all of that, and then it'll be time to pay the piper, right?
Yep.
But I feel bad, like, when clients are like, they just get to do whatever they want, and there's no consequences, and you guys aren't fighting for me. And I get it, and I understand the frustration, but this entire process is very, very expensive, and sometimes it's not in your best interest to be able to go, to have to go back to court every 5 minutes because the other side is being petty.
Yeah, I always tell them, no, they don't get to do whatever they want. They just are doing whatever they want.
Right.
And they will pay for that in the end.
Right.
But if you stoop to their level, now you're both jerks. Right. And I want to be able to put you on a pedestal and make you the good parent and them the bad parent. But if you're both bad parents, you're both bad parents. Right. And so you're hurting your case.
Well, and the judge is going to see that, and the judge is going to say, listen, what mom did was really, really bad, and I'm really bothered by what she did. But, sir, you did this after she did that.
Yeah, shooting the bird as you drove off, right?
Exactly. And so then, when you could be the hero, you end up being the loser. And then mom really does get to get away.
Zero. Hero, zero.
Oh, okay. So instead of being the hero, you're actually the zero. And mom gets away with it because you gave her the tools to be able to get away with it, because you then took it personal and stooped down to her level.
And we get blamed for her getting away with it when it's your fault.
So don't do that.
You didn't listen.
So what was the other reason? We said it was unhealthy. We said it was counterproductive. We said that it was expensive. And I felt like there was one more.
We talked about the kids.
Right.
I think that's pretty much it. It's unhealthy for them. It's bad for their case. Unhealthy for the kids. Expensive.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's the thing. If you're gonna go, let me. if you
That's when
find
she means
yourself,
business. Pay attention.
So Xavier, I need the camera here. No, I'm just kidding. But I'm just saying, if you're going to be, if you're planning on going through this process, or if you're in this process, I do think that it's important that you find a mental health professional that's going to help you process it. I actually love having these discussions with my clients, but at the end of the day, my time is way more expensive than a therapist, and I'm probably not as good as a resource to you. I'm not. And when it comes to, I don't know, I feel like I am. But a therapist is going to do you a whole lot of good when you're going through this process. So please reach out to someone that you feel comfortable with, that you're going to talk to, because I can assure you that is going to translate into the litigation process, and we're going to get better outcomes for you because you're not taking this personal.
Yeah, I hope that it starts to trend where when people are going through the divorce, it's not just I need an attorney. It's I need an attorney and I need a counselor. That's what you need to get through a divorce. Right,
absolutely. So thank you guys for watching our podcast or our YouTube channel, listening to the podcast. You can find us on all social media platforms: YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, etc. We do have offices in Midland, Odessa, Louisville, and Flower Mound. As always, do not accept this as legal advice, right? If you're going through this process, I want you to make sure that you find a local attorney, you visit with that attorney, and that you listen to what they have to tell you. And thank you guys for watching.